I remember every sound in that hallway, the echo of footsteps on polished tile, the soft chatter of proud parents, and then his voice, David's voice, flat and emotionless. "I'm leaving. After the ceremony." At first, I thought I misheard him. We were there to celebrate our daughter, Mia, her high school graduation, the moment we'd both been working toward for 18 years, and he chose that day, that exact moment, to tell me it was over. I blinked at him. My hands were full, her cap, her graduation program, my phone shaking in my grip. "What?" He looked away. "I'll help you take pictures, then I'm gone. I'm done." There it was, after 2 decades together. No fight, no build-up, just a bomb dropped with the casual tone of someone canceling dinner plans. He didn't say it with anger. That would have been easier. He said it with nothing, no emotion, no explanation, just indifference, the kind that cuts deeper than rage ever could. To understand why that moment hit so hard, you'd have to understand how we got there. David and I met in college. He was studying software engineering. I was in sociology. He was quiet but charming, the kind of guy who took you seriously when you spoke. He made me feel seen. Back then, it felt like fate. We married young, 22. Mia was born 2 years later. I was the planner. He was the builder. I organized our lives. He worked late hours. It worked, or at least we told ourselves it did. But something started changing around the time Mia turned 13. David became distant. He stopped asking how my day was. He started taking longer business trips. When I brought up how disconnected we felt, he told me I was over-analyzing everything, that I was always emotional, that I was making drama out of nothing. So I stopped bringing it up. I buried the loneliness, focused on being the glue for our family. But now, looking back, I see how I trained myself to ignore the signs. The way he flinched when I touched him, how he never made eye contact at dinner, the secret folder on his laptop labeled tax stuff that was actually full of travel bookings, none of which I ever knew about. Still, nothing prepared me for that hallway. Mia had just run ahead to find her friends. I was fixing the tassel on her cap when he leaned in and said it. "I'm leaving," just like that. I stood there, frozen, watching him walk away toward the auditorium, like nothing had happened. Like we weren't about to pretend to be a family for the sake of pictures. Like 18 years meant nothing, but I wasn't going to fall apart. Not there. Not then. I pulled myself together, found a bathroom mirror, and looked myself in the eye. "You get through a day for Mia," I told myself. "But tonight, you deal with this." And that's when something in me clicked, because what he didn't know was that I already knew. I knew about the apartment he was secretly renting in the city, the bank account in his name only, the client dinners that never matched up with his expense reports. I'd been tracking it all for months, waiting, preparing. See, I may not have a tech degree, but I'm not stupid. When your partner starts changing, when the warmth disappears, the patterns shift, the lies start stacking up, you notice, you feel it, you just don't always want to believe it. But I believed it enough to start documenting every mysterious credit card charge, every text that came through a little too late at night, every hotel booking he made for a conference that didn't exist on the company calendar. I didn't confront him, not because I was scared, but because I needed a plan, because if he thought I was just going to crumble, he had another thing coming. And graduation day? Graduation day became my deadline. I didn't expect him to announce he was leaving before I even got the chance to execute it, but once he did, I knew exactly how this would play out. He thought he was holding the cards, but I had the whole damn deck. That night, after the ceremony, he drove us home like nothing had happened. Mia sat in the back seat, glowing, talking about her future, about college, about freedom. David nodded along, responded politely, even laughed once or twice. I sat in the passenger seat in total silence, not because I was broken, because I was calculating. He pulled into the driveway like it was just another Thursday, parked the car, unbuckled, stretched, and that's when I asked him, "So, are you planning on taking your things tonight or tomorrow?" He looked at me, surprised. "You're not going to try to stop me?" I smiled. "Why would I? You've already made your choice." He blinked, almost confused. He didn't expect cooperation. He expected tears, begging, maybe a slap or a scream. What he got was strategy. I walked inside, sat Mia down, told her that Dad would be staying elsewhere for a while, that sometimes people grow apart, but she was loved, that none of this was her fault. She cried. Of course she did, but she also hugged me so tight I could barely breathe, and I whispered into her hair, "It's going to be okay, baby. We're going to be okay." Upstairs, David started collecting some of his things. I watched him go into the closet and pull down the duffel bag he kept tucked behind our winter coats. He was so casual about it, like this was a business trip, just another night on the road. And when he came back downstairs, ready to leave, I stopped him. "There's one thing I need you to see before you go." He paused. "What?" I handed him a manila envelope, unlabeled, sealed. "What is it?" he asked. "Open it when you get to wherever you're staying." He frowned but nodded. "Okay." He left, and I locked the door behind him, but I didn't. And as I lay there in the dark, I thought about what he was reading right then. The envelope? Inside it were copies of every piece of evidence I'd collected. The bank transfers, the lease agreement for his secret apartment, photos of him with the woman I'd suspected, printouts of his company's ethics policy, highlighted where it specifically forbade undisclosed personal relationships with contractors, which she was. Oh, and a note. Just 3 words. The next morning, David didn't answer his phone. I sent a text. "Did you get the envelope?" No reply. Hours passed. Mia was at school, unaware of the storm brewing at home. I kept myself busy. Dishes, laundry, pacing. Then the doorbell rang. I opened it. David stood there, eyes bloodshot, hands shaking. He didn't say hello. He didn't smile. He looked like a man caught in a trap. "I need to talk," he said, voice low. I stepped aside. He came in. We sat in the living room, silence heavy between us. Finally, he spoke. "I didn't know you knew," he said. I looked at him, calm but firm. "I knew more than you think." He swallowed. The weight of the envelope was in the air. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I never meant to hurt you or Mia." I shook my head. "Sorry isn't enough." He nodded, tears starting to spill. "I was scared. I felt trapped." "Trapped? You think your lies are a trap?" "No, not the lies. Us. This life. I couldn't keep pretending." I sighed. "That's what hurts the most. You gave up." He looked down. "I know." Days passed. He stayed away. No calls, no messages. Mia asked me if Daddy still loved her. I told her, "Love doesn't always mean staying, but he loves you very much." She cried. I cried. But I also started planning. I called a lawyer. We started discussing custody, support, division of assets. But the best part? David's carefully hidden secret was now exposed. His affair, his lies, everything. Then came the night I never expected. David showed up at our door. "Please," he said. "I want to see Mia." I hesitated, but I let him in. He hugged Mia, and then looked at me. "I'm sorry," he said again. I looked him in the eyes. "Sorry doesn't fix broken trust." He nodded. "But maybe it's a start." Months later, things settled. David and I navigated co-parenting. Mia thrived. She graduated college with honors. And me? I found strength I didn't know I had. Because sometimes, when someone walks away from you at your daughter's graduation, you find out you're stronger than you thought. The day David showed up unannounced at our door was the day everything changed. I wasn't expecting it. The knock came late, just as Mia and I were set. But as he held her, I could see the weight in his eyes, the guilt, the regret. We sat down in the living room, the silence thick. "I know I hurt you both," he began, voice cracking. "I was selfish. I was scared. I made mistakes. I kept my gaze steady. You left us on one of the biggest days of our lives. Do you know what that did to Mia? To me?" He nodded, swallowing hard. "I do. And I'm sorry. More than I can say." I let the words hang in the air, then said, "Sorry doesn't erase months of lies, of pretending." Tears streamed down his face. "I know," he whispered. "And I'm ready to face whatever it takes, to make things right, even if it's just being a good father to Mia." That conversation was a turning point. We agreed on boundaries, on respect, on putting Mia's well-being first. It wasn't easy. There were days filled with anger and tears. But slowly, he showed up. Not just physically, but emotionally. He asked Mia about her day. He celebrated her small victories. And for the first time in a long while, I saw a man trying to be better. For Mia, it was a journey too. From confusion and heartbreak to cautious hope. She asked tough questions, like, "Mom, why did Dad leave?" I answered honestly, gently, "Sometimes grown-ups make bad choices, baby, but that doesn't mean they stop loving you." She nodded, growing stronger with each day. Meanwhile, I rebuilt my life, balancing work, motherhood, and self-care. Friends rallied around me. I found new passions. I even started therapy, to understand what I'd been through, and to heal. The final chapter came at Mia's college graduation. David was there, standing beside us, tearing in his eyes. Not perfect, not the man he used to be, but present. And that day, watching Mia walk across that stage with pride, I realized something. We survived. We healed. and we were stronger for it. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this story, it's this. Life will throw betrayal and heartbreak your way, sometimes when you least expect it. But the darkest moments can lead to the brightest growth. And even when someone leaves on your hardest day, you have the power to stand, to fight, and to build a future filled with love and resilience. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the ones who walk away, it's about the ones who stay, and the strength you find within yourself to keep going.